What is going on, peeps, and welcome to episode 1 of this year's Pumpkin Spice Month. If you were not around for last year, we got a little insane. I did 7 different recipes, starting with more basic, more normal, everyday edible desserts, and ranging to this more strange, more inedible pumpkin spice latte, jello shots, and raindrop cakes. It was a madness, it really was. I honestly don't know if I could ever top that. I'm gonna give it a try this year. But like I said, we always start with more normal, relaxed, edible recipes. So I found this one, the pumpkin spice chocolate chip Whoopie pies on Tasty's website. So technically, this is even a Buzzfeed test too, if you wanted to call it that. Again, I am beyond excited for you guys to see some of the ideas that I have already this year. But without further ado, let's get right into recipe number 1. So peeps, if you want to make these chocolate chip pumpkin spice Whoopie pies, you're going to need to grab some vegetable oil and baking soda, some ground cinnamon and a few eggs, brown sugar, flour, chocolate chips, some salt and baking powder, and the stars of this entire month, some pumpkin and some pumpkin spice. Also, all those ingredients were just for the cookie portion. I'm gonna make a homemade pumpkin spice buttercream at the end, so that'll be a completely different recipe. But to make the cookies, I started by mixing up my brown sugar and a cup of oil, which is a lot, but you want these to be super dense and moist. I then added in a few of my eggs and a cup and a half of that pumpkin mix. Make sure to get the can that says just pumpkin, not the pumpkin pie mix, because that has a ton more ingredients in it. But now we can add our dry ingredients, which is a lot of stuff. 3 cups of flour, as well as baking soda, baking powder, salt, our pumpkin pie spice, and a tablespoon of cinnamon. If you want all of the exact measurements for the ingredients, I'm linking Tasty's website right down in the description. Go give that a look. To finish off our batter, I tossed in a cup of my chocolate chips. Thankfully it's only a cup because that's all I had left in that bag that I showed you earlier. I loaded my batter up in a piping bag, and here comes my first concern. It doesn't really say anywhere about greasing the pan or not. With a batter like this, I usually always would, but they don't mention it, so I'm not going to. There is a lot of oil in this already. So one by one, I carefully piped on my cookies. These are gonna rise a little bit because there are some leaveners in there, so don't pipe too huge of mounds. And then just popped them in the oven at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. The first time I took these out and let them cool for a few minutes, they seemed nowhere near done. They were sticking to the tray a lot, but they also seemed kind of floppy, so I popped them in for a few more minutes, and 5 minutes later I took them out again. I honestly think I just should have greased this pan, because whether it calls for it or not, it makes stuff easier, you know? Either way, I was eventually able to pry off my cookies in one piece. As always, I'm using My Cupcake Addiction's buttercream recipe, which will also be linked in the description. This is by far the best frosting recipe I've ever found. Go check it out if you need a frosting recipe. The only thing different I did with my version this time was I added in some vanilla extract, some of my pumpkin spice extract from last year that I bought, a little bit of pumpkin spice of course, and some whole milk to smooth the whole mixture out. You start with the bottom half of your Whoopie pies, and one by one with my gigantic icing cupcake tip, I piped my buttercream onto the bottom half of my cookies. I gave it a nice thin little layer and then topped all 9 of my cookies off. These are looking very, very good, better than I thought they'd come out, so let's give them a try. Guys, look how perfect some of these look. That frosting piped beautifully, it kept its shape. That's why I recommend that recipe, just for the flavor and the pipeability. And they smell so good. Stop. Nope. Oh my gosh. If you like pumpkin at all, this is one of the most amazing desserts you will ever eat. From the cookies that are like super moist and flavorful and full of chocolate chips and pumpkin to the buttercream, this is like one of the best things I ever made. Absolutely, without a doubt, 100%, 10 out of 10. We could not have asked for a better start to this month. Thank you guys so much for coming back for yet another pumpkin spice month. It's gonna be full of some crazy recipes, so look forward to them. If you have some suggestions that you want me to try out in the coming weeks, let me know down below on Twitter, Instagram. Other than that though, have an awesome beginning of your week, and I'll see you right back here next